to week 2, day 3 of our Build Balance Momentum program. I'm Chelsea Lundeen. Our posture of the day will be Warrior One pose. So I've introduced you to this pose, I believe a couple times already in the last week. But today I'm really breaking down a few of the posture basics of this pose that I might not have mentioned in when we did it the first couple of times. So this is a great pose. You'll see it in your sun salutations and in a lot of yoga flows throughout your lifetime, throughout the rest of your yoga practice. So let's break it down for you today. We'll be using some blocks and a strap, so feel free to grab those and meet me in child's pose. That is where we'll start today. So we can come up to our mats, bring our big toes together, knees nice and wide, and we're just going to walk our hands out into child's pose. Again, resting that frontal lobe on the mat. And like usual, we're going to turn our attention inward. Try to release all tension from the body here. And just tune in with your breath. Maybe take one deep inhalation here. And exhale it out. Allowing yourself to sink deeper into the mat. If you are on schedule, you're practicing this on a Wednesday, which means it's hump day and halfway through the week. So I know it can be a little stressful. So just try to turn off your mind and turn off your brain to any external factors that might be pressing you at this moment. We really want to stay focused on our practice today. It's really about developing that mental focus and body control, just coordination. So that would be the aim of this practice. One more deep inhalation here. I want you to audibly exhale it out through the mouth. And when you're ready, we're going to rise up, lift our heads off the mat, and come into tabletop posture today. We're going to warm up with, you guessed it, some cat and cow poses. So wrists under shoulders, knees under hips, feet hip width apart. We're going to inhale as we drop our chest and ribs towards the mat, gaze forward. Exhale, round out that spine, puffing up to the back of the back and tucking the chin in towards the chest. Inhale. Come to cow posture here. Exhale, cat posture. Do a couple more of these. Inhale, chest to mat. Exhale, cat. And we're actually going to shoot right back into downward facing dog today. So we're going to tuck our toes under, lift up our knees, and send those hip bones back into downward facing dog. Feel free to pedal out those knees. Fingers nice and wide. Spine lengthened here. Slight micro bend in the knees if you need to. And then just take a couple deep breaths. We're going to place that left foot on the mat if we can. grounding through that foot as we inhale our right leg up and back. So we'll have it nice and square here, and if you want, you can even open up that hip, really feel that nice hip opening. And we're gonna do a couple hip circles here. So let's just circle our hip with our knee bent, heel towards the bum. I'll circle it in one direction first. And now let's switch directions. Circle it in the other direction. Try to keep your weight off of your wrists and really into that back leg. Good, now we're gonna bring our knee in towards our chest as we bring it up, our foot up in between our hands. Again, help it if you need to by gently using your hand to guide it upwards. We're gonna grab our blocks here and place them on either side of the foot. And this is kind of what we call a runner's lunge. But we're gonna place our hands on our blocks and we're gonna straighten out that knee. So this is a variation of pyramid pose. We're gonna rock, bending that knee, coming into that lunge again. Exhale as we fold our chest in towards that knee. Inhale, bend that knee, spine lengthened here. Exhale, forward fold into that knee. Good, we're gonna remove our blocks kind of and drop that left heel in towards the mat. So let's drop those blocks. And we're going to make sure that our right heel is lined up with our back heel, so our left heel. And we try to do that, but if you find that this is a little too uncomfortable when we get into the warrior one posture, you can always widen that back leg out a bit more. It's all about what works for you, so don't feel like you have to strictly follow my cueing if it's uncomfortable for you. We want to be comfortable in these postures, so as long as we have good form, or form that's not hindering our progress or hurting our joints in any way, then that is completely okay to modify as needed. So we're going to keep that back foot, heel in line with the front heel, and then at about a 45-degree angle to the front of the mat. And what we're going to do is we're going to sweep our hands up and over and really sink into that front leg here. So we're going to try to get that knee nice and bent, almost like a 90-degree angle if you can. Sweep your arms up and over, dropping your shoulders back and down so they're not hugging necessarily up against your ears. Want them nice and open and wide. Want to think about pressing our back foot, the outer edge of our back foot into the mat to kind of support that back arch. And then distributing your weight evenly in your front foot, so between all your toes and your foot. And really think about lengthening your tailbone down and engaging that back glute. Nice. Help support our hips here. Few deep breaths. Good. Inhale, I want you to send your hands back. And exhale, I want you to kind of hinge at the waist over your knee into humble warrior. So pulling your chest in towards your knee, really bracing yourself through that hip, not sinking in because we don't want to compromise our hip, but really bracing down, keeping that knee in line with the foot. And if this is too uncomfortable for you, feel free to grab your blocks and just kind of relieve that tension on the hip here. But if you're able to, kind of hover here in humble warrior, opening up the shoulder, or opening up the chest, squeezing those shoulder blades together. Good, we're gonna drop our left hand, feel free to grab a block, and kind of twist our back leg up so we're onto our toes. And we're just gonna open up the chest here by Bringing our right arm up towards the ceiling. Following our gaze past our fingertips. Good. Let's bring that arm back down to the mat. Let's release our blocks and come into high plank. We're going to do one vinyasa here. Feel free to move those blocks a little more if you need to. So tuck those elbows in towards your torso. Lean forward onto your toes. Slowly lower down till your arms are about 90 degrees. Untuck those toes. Inhale into upward facing dog. Knees lifted. Exhale into downward facing dog. Oof. Really works that front leg, doesn't it? So breathe here through the posture. Get slight micro bend in the knees. Feel free to pedal out those legs if you need to. Good, let's ground through that right foot. As we inhale, sweep our left leg up. And let's open up those hips, bend that knee, tuck that heel in towards the glute. Let's do some hip rolls, hip circles here. Oh yeah. Let's reverse it other way. Good. Now inhale, let's exhale as we bring our knee in towards our chest and swoop that foot in between our fingers as we come into the runner's lunge. Again, feel free to grab your blocks here as we straighten the knee, spine lengthened, and then fold into the knee. Bend the knee. Inhale, once again, spine lengthened, opening up the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades. Exhale, straighten the knee, pulling your chest in towards your leg. Inhale here, bending that knee. Exhale, forward fold. Okay, we're going to drop our right heel, our back right heel towards the mat. Again, lining up our heels. We can move our blocks if we need to. Ground through that front leg as we inhale and rise up into warrior one on the other side. Feel free to move your back leg forward or back to whatever's comfortable for you. Trying to get that 90-degree angle here. Hips aimed towards the front of the mat. Mine usually can never get square with the mat. I usually try to aim for the corner because it's just a little too uncomfortable. I find I kink my hips a little too much and kind of puts pressure on the knee when I do it too much. So I like to angle for at least the corner of the mat. So inhale, bringing your the outer edge of your back foot towards the mat to protect that arch. Shoulders down and back, fingers engaged, pressing or distributing your weight evenly in your front foot, really bending into that knee here. Whew, this burns. Good. Sending that tailbone towards the mat, engaging that back glute. If you want, try to bend forward and come into humble warrior. Again, protecting that knee, protecting that hip by really engaging your core, really engaging that back or that front glute for this one. You'll feel it right here. Again, grab your blocks if this is just a little too intense for your hips. That's completely okay. Otherwise, fingers engaged, pressing chest open. Let's drop our right hand towards the mat or towards the block. come up onto our toes. So lift that heel, lift that back heel. Let's open up our chest. Bring our left arm up towards the ceiling, gaze high. Good. Let's bring our hands back towards the mat. Release our blocks to the front of the mat. Come back up into plank. Let's do one vinyasa here. So bring those elbows in, wrap them in towards the torso. Come up onto your toes. Inhale here. Exhale, slowly lower down. Bring your arms to 90 degrees. Untuck those toes. Inhale, up into upward facing dog. Exhale into downward facing dog. A few deep breaths here. Scrub through that left foot now and inhale that right foot up. Exhale it, tuck your knee in towards your chest. Bring in that foot in between your arms, dropping that left heel. And we're actually just gonna cartwheel our arms up and bring our heels in so our toes are pointed out like this. And we're gonna just bend our knees, bringing our arms to our knees and using them to kind of press our knees open. Feel it through your hips and your hip flexors here. You can kind of rock back and forth if you need to. Keep your spine lengthened. You can drop your shoulders down. Keep squeezing the shoulder blades together here. I want you to kind of bring your right shoulder down and pressing it like you're pulling it towards the mat. And bring your gaze over your left knee. Good. I'm going to come back up. Let's drop our left shoulder down like we're pulling it towards the mat. Bringing your gaze to the right now. Let's do a couple more. Exhale here. Inhale up. Exhale down. Feel free to grab your blocks if you need to. We're going to straighten out our knees here and come up into almost like a halfway lift. So feel free to pull, almost like pull that mat away from you. Ooh, lengthening through the spine here. And exhale, try to forward fold into this posture. Slight micro bend in the knees here. We don't want them locked out. So feel free to kind of have a light bend here. We still want to get a good hamstring stretch, so you don't want to bend them too much. But we also want to make sure we're securing the joint. So inhale, halfway lift once again. Spine long. Exhale, forward fold. Let's come back up. Let's tiptoe our feet together just a bit. And remove our blocks to the side. Bend our bums. Come into low yogic squat. Again, feel free to put one of those blocks under your bum if this is too uncomfortable for you. Let's just kind of rock back and forth. So use your elbows to kind of push your hips apart. You're just gonna rock back and forth. And let's drop our butts to the mat. We're gonna take our left foot and kind of tuck it in so your heels towards your crotch. We're gonna bring our right foot up and over to the outside of the left hip, left thigh here. Bring our right hand a few inches out and back behind the body. Inhale that left arm up, tucking that elbow into the outer edge of the right knee. And just twist open your body, bringing your gaze beyond your right shoulder. Breathing here. Untuck that right leg, bring up the right foot, bring that right heel to the crotch, cross that right left foot over, hand up and out. Inhale the right arm up, elbow to the edge of the left knee, and let's open up the chest, pulling that left shoulder back, gaze beyond the shoulder here, spine long. Deep breaths here. Let's return to center, release our feet. And let's come into a lying supine posture. Feel free to kick your blocks out of the way if you need to. Now let's just bring our knees in towards our chest. Nice knee to chest squeeze here. Forgot to mention, feel free to grab this strap that we were using. And we're gonna actually swing it around our right foot. We're gonna straighten out that back leg, and we're just gonna pull our right foot in. So kind of imagine like pulling it up and over the head as best as you can. Slight micro bend in the knee here to protect the knee. Protect the knee joint. Let's just get a nice stretch here. Oof, my leg's shaking. I'm going to release our strap, bend that knee, and let's use our left hand to pull that knee over to the left side body. Stretching out our right hand to the side in line with the shoulder. Get a nice spinal stretch here. Good. Shoulders pressing up against the mat. You don't need to bring your knee all the way to the floor. Just enough to get that nice spinal stretch. Let's return to center. Drop that right foot down. Stretch it out. Bring that right leg in. Let's tuck our strap around our foot here. I like to put it more towards my toes. Really pull that foot up and over as best as you can. If you're here, that's okay. Here, that's totally fine. You'll eventually be able to kind of pull it in closer without it being too much of a bother. The more you stretch, the better you'll get. Deep inhale here. And exhale, think about pulling it in a little closer. It's okay if your muscles shake. Good, and release, bending that knee. Putting your strap aside. Using your right hand to pull your knee over to the right side, outstretching that left hand to the other side. Both shoulders drop to the mat. Breathe here a moment. Good. Let's return to center. Give our knees a big old hug once more. Deep inhale here. And exhale. Oof. Let's come into corpse pose or Shavasana. Allow any tension to release. Maybe pedal out those legs if you're If your thighs are sore and tired, just rest here a moment, syncing your breath with your mind. Deep inhale here. Hold it for a couple seconds. And audible exhale out. Let's do 2 more of these. Inhale. Hold. And exhale out. 1 more. Inhale. Hold. And exhale out. And return your breathing to its natural rhythm.